Uncivilized Vitality, and we're going to talk today about movement number one, uncivilized movement, which is natural movement is vital. Okay, movement number one in our 5 vital paths. Number one movement, natural movement is vital. And there are several different types, if you've read the book, several different categories of natural movement that you should spend your day pursuing. And the most primal or most natural of all movements is breathing. And the second most natural movement for us is ambulation, or walking, running, right? Walking. We have a unique gait amongst animals because we're just bipedal, have 2 feet. But in order to have 2 feet and to walk or have that unique human gait, which is vital to exercise every day, you should get 30 miles a week, is a component that is unique to us, and that is balance. 4-legged animals, obviously, let's draw a 4-legged animal. I'm not sure what this is. We'll call it a cat. Cat has 4 legs to balance out their mass over 4 points of support. So it's pretty stable, whereas we only have the 2 points of support to balance our center of mass. So this means over the 2 points of support, our feet, we have to balance front to back, anterior, posterior, left to right, and to kind of maintain an up and down balance as well, so we're not sitting all the time. Our balance is composed of 3 parts. So we draw that in a triangle. We have the mechanoreceptors, receptors in our feet and ankles. That looks like a Q. Okay. So these will be the sometimes it's called proprioception, but it's really the mechanoreceptors that measure the tension in your musculotendinous structures, the joint capsules in your foot and ankles, and all the different bones in your feet and legs and knees, the pressure sensors in your skin. There's a whole host of input that come from the feet and ankles via these mechanoreceptors up to your brain. Then there is, I'll do this one over here, your vestibular system, which is your vestibular system, which is a series of fluid-filled canals in your skull, in your cranium, located actually in the petrous ridge of the temporal bone right here behind your ear. And they're very closely related to auditory sensation. They share the vestibulocochlear nerve, cranial nerve 9, shares input from your balance and your hearing. And these 3 semicircular or hemispheric canals are filled with fluid that will tell you your position in space, leaning left to right, front and back, and then turning in the transverse plane. You also have a structure called the utricle and saccule, which will give you provide differences to your brain input for acceleration in the vertical, up and down, and the horizontal. So different accelerations and decelerations. That whole structure is called the vestibular system. The third point of this triangle that produces balance is your vision. And your vision is the dominant sense. That's why I put it at the top of the triangle. The dominant portion of your trilateral balance. A trilateral system, 3-sided system of your foundation of your balance. Right? It's probably the same in animals like cats, but they have a much better, much more developed vestibular system. They have much more mechanic input from the mechanoreceptors because they have 4 feet instead of 2. And then their vision is a little less than ours, so it kind of balances out. But we're mainly a visual creature. As long as you have any 2 of these 3 functioning, you'll be able to maintain balance. Can't do it with just one. If you are visually impaired, blind, and have had damage to your vestibular system, or any of the cerebellar, vestibular connections, the cerebellar spinal connections, any of the different routes that encompass these inputs. If they're damaged, you won't be able to stand upright in gravity on just 2 feet. You'll have to hold on to something or walk. So we need at least 2. You can test this out for yourself in a minute. I'll show you how vision is the dominant by relying on these 2 more. By closing your eyes, you'll see right away why vision is so important to your balance. All right, balance is foundational to us being a 2-legged creature to move around. We have a unique gait amongst animals, and that's our most natural movement is walking, right? With our 4 limbs free to carry things, really, or to throw or wield hunting weapons, right? We can see a bigger field of vision when we stand up further from the ground, unlike other primates that are on mostly 4 limbs. But this system of balance allows us to take our second most natural movement, which is vital every day, which is walking. I want you to get 30 miles a day. And you can also focus down 30 miles a day, 30 miles a week. You can also focus down a little further than gait. Sometimes you don't have time to walk that, but you want to train balance every day. Sometimes it's as simple, and I mention this to patients a lot, is just standing on 1 foot, right? Put your socks or sandals on, right, in the morning by standing on 1 foot. Get up, put your socks on, tie your shoe on 1 foot. Standing on 1 foot gives me a lot of mechanoreceptor input from my feet and ankles, so that I can upregulate them and use them a lot. If you're always walking around on flat, even surfaces, many of us work indoors. The bulk of the day I'm in the clinic or at the university or at home where the floors are even, flat, unencumbered by obstacles. And I don't get a lot of challenge to my foot and ankle, the corner of this triangle. My vestibular system also doesn't get a lot of challenge when I'm not on uneven surfaces a lot. So I slowly lose the efficacy of these 2 points of input. My balance comes to rely more and more on my vision. This is not great as you get up, like myself, over 50, closer to 100, we start to have balance issues. As people get older, they'll start to widen their base of support a little bit, and instead of striding confidently with their feet, you end up getting kind of a lack of confidence in this sort of shuffle because their balance is gone. In order to prevent that, every day stand on 1 foot. If you don't wear shoes or in socks, or in the winter, you don't want to, or in the summer you don't want to do that, you're wearing sandals, just stand on 1 foot while you brush your teeth, right? Or trim your beard, or comb your hair. I don't have any hair. Or tie your tie. I don't know, stand on 1 foot throughout the day. My recommendations is 2 minutes per foot per day. Right? 2 minutes per foot per day. If you do that every day, by the time you're 80, you'll have no balance issues. 90, no balance issues, or many fewer balance issues. If you want to go past the basic prerequisite of just standing on 1 foot 2 minutes a day, okay, single leg stance, you can up the ante and start practicing things like standing on 1 foot and then bending down to the floor to pick things up, right? You can you can drop some marbles or coins or just anything, Legos you want to pick up, and just practice standing on 1 foot, and then get these perturbations of your balance by bending forward and picking something up and coming back up on your foot. So you can up the ante. Once you get a little bit past that, you can get a high-tech piece of balance equipment and rehab equipment, piece of 2x4. You set that on the floor, and then you can practice standing on the 2x4. You can stand on 1 foot on the 2x4. You can walk forward on the 2x4. You can walk backward on the 2x4. You could get on the balls of your feet and shuffle sideways on the 2x4. Okay? So there's lots of things you can do to increase your balance by practicing little things just with a simple piece of 2x4. Couple things to remember on your 2x4 practice is that it's only about an inch and a half, 2 inches off the ground. So the risk and danger are well balanced no pun intended, in this exercise. If I fall off, very little danger. Let's talk briefly about risk versus danger. This is important. I always bring this up when I'm teaching about balance to natural movement seminars or talking to patients directly. So risk and danger. Risk is the probability that an attempted physical movement will fail. So basically, me balancing on this 2x4, there's a certain amount of risk. You know, it's a little wide, maybe I can't balance on it. I stepped off, right? That's realizing that risk. There's some risk to it. It's pretty wide, so not a big deal. If I were to try to balance on a slack line or maybe a wire, the risk would be greater or higher because it's more difficult, so there's a bigger probability I couldn't do it. All right, hopefully that makes risk understandable. Danger is the amount of physical harm you would come to if a given risk occurs. So I have a certain risk walking along this 2x4. I don't know why I'm creeping across the 2x4. So I walk across 2x4, there's a certain amount of risk. I can't stop creeping. I'm like going across there. If I might fall off the 2x4. But if I do, very little danger. I'm only 1.5 inches off the ground. Now, as a thought exercise, imagine this 2x4, same board, 30 feet in the air. The risk would be basically the same. There are a few more mitigating factors like maybe a fear of heights or the wind or something. But the risk would be about the same. It's still 4 inches wide. I'm still walking across it. The risk would be about the same, but the danger would increase a lot, 30 times. More than 30 times because I'd be 30 feet in the air. So if I did fall, that risk were to occur, I would get hurt. So when you're going to practice your different balancing exercise at home, be aware of risk and danger, okay? This one I gave you, the single leg stance, 2 minutes per foot per day. Low risk, right? If I'm new to this, I can stand near the wall and put my hand, maybe I can put a finger by the wall to balance myself. Look at this. Look how low risk this is. This is not too difficult because I've practiced and I have the functional capability to stand on one foot. No arthritis. My muscles work. I have the physical attributes to practice this, right? So there's low risk for me to practice standing on one foot. There's almost no danger. If I do start to fall, the risk occurs. I just put my foot down, mitigating the danger to almost zero, right? Now, the danger is slightly higher if I practice standing on a 2x4, just because I'm slightly higher off the ground. I guess I could turn an ankle or something. But remember that, so for instance, here's this yoga block. See, this is a little taller than the 2x4. It's a little wider, but it's made of a softer, spongier material, so it sort of deforms under my weight and foot. So it's a little riskier because it's not as stable, and the danger is a little bit higher because I'm higher up. I could maybe fall or lose my balance and twist an ankle or something. So I would still use this because I know the risk to danger ratio is pretty low. It's not that dangerous. It's not that risky, but it's a little more risky than a 2x4 or a flat floor or the ground. Maybe I could stand on my yoga block each morning and put my socks and shoes on. Okay, so I've upped the risk and danger just by using a 2x4 or a yoga block. I could also turn this on the narrow edge. Now I'm a little higher. And it's a little spongier. Right, so now it wobbles around a little bit. So it's a little riskier, a little more dangerous because it could flip and turn my ankle. Right, I could stand it up on end like this in order to mitigate the potential danger and risk. When I stand on it, I'll stand next to a wall. Actually, you know what? I gotta get a different one. You don't have to film it, right? All right, let me get a more solid yoga brick. So like I say, now it's even higher, it's even narrower, it's even a little more wobbly, but I can use the wall to stand next to you, just in case, to mitigate the danger of losing my balance. I had to get a different, a denser yoga block to stand on because this little purple one was just not able to support my weight. It was just squishing down, increasing the risk. So I've gone from standing on 1 foot to using a simple 2x4 to walk and turn on, to standing on a single yoga block, standing next to the wall, or not using the wall. And these simple exercises, just a static balance or a small walk, can help increase your proprioceptive or mechanoreceptor input from the feet and ankles. It'll help stimulate the vestibular system, right? And then you can close your eyes to increase the input from these two, the proportionate input from these two, by taking vision out. So first you would go back and start on 1 foot on the floor, eyes closed, and stand on 1 foot. And you'll find that significantly more challenging just with your eyes closed. Walking on a 2x4 with your eyes closed involves a lot of counterbalancing and moving around. And I'm not even going to attempt to stand on that yoga block with my eyes closed this late in the day. Another piece of interesting gear is to get something that has a little bit of curvature to it, like this half dome, little styrofoam PT block we use. I wouldn't stand on a full round log that can roll, because then you've increased risk and danger. It's okay to do dangerous things as long as the risk is low. It's okay to do risky things as long as the danger is low. Keep those two inversely related. So I've got this. It's a little more risky to stand on because it's rounded, but the danger is not great because it is still close to the ground. And you can see how this is a little more challenging because my foot will conform. I can actually take my sandal off. My foot will actually conform around this and deform and sort of hug the shape of that. Should I turn this way? And hug the shape of this round structure so that I can stand on that. Okay? It makes it a little more challenging. I can stand lengthwise, and now I've got more challenge for my foot to wobble to the side, right and left. So this is quite the challenge for my foot and ankle muscles and the input from the foot and ankle so I can stay balanced. Okay? So I can increase the challenge even further by standing on a rounded structure. If you don't have one of those, you could just go out and find a downed log. Okay, again, make sure that you're balancing your risk and danger when you're out on logs. Don't go out right away and walk across a slippery, icy log over a river in the forest just because you want to get out there and practice natural movement in the natural environment. Start inside. Increase your balance skill, that natural movement, which is vital for so many things you do, with single leg stance, 2 minutes a day per foot. Do that every day. Just make it part of your routine. Okay? Then get yourself a few high-tech pieces of equipment, right? 2x4. Small chunk of rounded log with maybe a flat side. A couple of yoga blocks or cement bricks. Get a few little odds and ends you can practice standing on. When you're outside, find little things to balance on. Those yellow parking cement things in parking lots. Curbs, that's a big parkour training area. We spent 3 hours one time out on some curbs in a parking lot in the sun at a parkour seminar with the Yamakasi in Ohio, and that was tough. I couldn't even imagine how many things, balance drills they had us doing with just a curve. Little Spider-Man turns and leaps and jumps and all sorts of nonsense. But it helped with the balance. So this little video on balance is to give you some things to do to increase your balance, your skill at balancing, because balancing is a vital movement. And it is a foundational component in the unique thing that we do as humans, which is walk bipedally or on 2 feet. Okay? So, try to get your 24 to 30 miles a week, not per day, a week, walking, normal natural gait. And on the days that maybe you can't walk for some reason, spend more time than just the baseline balance practice. Spend maybe 20 minutes doing some balance practice. Now, I will say a couple more things about that. Balance practice should come right after your warm-up. So if you're going to do something to warm up, balance practice should come right here before anything else in your workout or your exercise routine, because balancing is a predominantly neurologic skill. All right, so you practice balancing. You should see our other video, if we have one. If not, I'll make one, on the 10 physiological adaptations to exercise and training. Balance is a neurological skill, one that takes practice, and you should practice the neurological adaptations before the physical or the physiological or metabolic adaptations like metcons or lifting or isometric training for strength, okay? Because balance will wear you out. 10 minutes practicing on this 2x4, practicing these slow, every time I get on here I creep forward for some reason. These, I'm trying to exaggerate the walk. 10 minutes of practicing like this, finding the board with the ball of my foot, setting the foot down, transferring my weight, freeing this foot up, moving that behind, establishing a new point of contact, a new point of support, transferring my weight onto that. Just doing that for 10 minutes is quite demanding on your nervous system. The higher up the risk goes, if I were to flip the 2x4 up on edge, I don't have any stabilizers, but practicing on a more narrow surface would increase my attention and concentration, which is more demanding on my nervous system. So give yourself a chance to get loosened up a little bit, and then balance practice first before you do other things. Work those in every day. I think that's enough of my rambling video on balance. Hopefully that helps. Help you get you a little more uncivilized in your movement. Make sure you practice that every day. Natural movement is vital. Balance is a foundational component of all natural movements: running, jumping, swimming, climbing, throwing. So get a little bit of practice on that every day. Leave some comments below about what other types of natural movements you'd like to see. And I think that's it. Oh, wait. Buy me a coffee.